Hello and welcome to Goldfish on Games, where I hope you're sitting comfortably, because today we're going to be checking out a book. But not just any old book, no, because we've got the Sonic the Hedgehog adventure book, Metal City Mayhem. Sonic the Hedgehog Adventure Book 1 Metal City Mayhem was released in 1993 and written by James Wallace, and as far as I can tell was only published in the UK. This was the first of 6 books that was released over a 3-year period, in which Wallace wrote the first 2 books, which must have been done at the same time as they refer to each other in the opening pages. Here we have a number of the other books, which all feature some very Sonic 2 inspired artwork on the cover, which was done by Keith Ward, and features the earlier design of Sonic that made him look as if he's got a mohawk, rather than more 3D style spikes that we're used to today. For those who don't know, a choose your own adventure book is one that the pages are split into various paragraphs, all of which are numbered. At the end of a paragraph you get some form of choice that will result in you having to jump to a different part of the book. This means you can take multiple different paths through the story and even get different endings. With over 300 sections and 7 endings, there are a lot of routes for you to find and discover in here. You start your adventure by having to fill out a stat sheet, which I suggest you grab a bit of paper and fill that out rather than writing in the book itself, as the paper will wear down after a few games with all the corrections that you have to make during the game. These skills include speed, strength, agility, coolness, quick wits and cool looks. And the last seems to be a typo, as both the instructions and later on in the book it says it's good looks. To fill these out you should enter a 5 in your best skill, a 4 in the next best and a 3 in your third best. The rest should all be filled with 2. These skills are important as we progress through the book. And being a kids book, there's a large number of pictures all across the book, which were drawn by Chris Russell. They fit in quite nicely and look pretty good, even if they are just line drawings. And while most illustrate the part of the story that you're reading, some are just filler. The story starts with Sonic in promotional land, as he sat there playing a Game Gear. And after failing to beat the final boss in the game for the umpteenth time, he decides it's best to stop for a while. And don't worry Sonic, we've all been there. Ah, come on! And when he finally looks up, he realises he's all alone, and the zone is empty and silent, which I think we can all relate to at the moment. And instead of respecting social distancing and people trying to self-isolate themselves, he decides he needs to find out what's going on. And in the first of many moments, he breaks the 4th wall and asks us, the reader, to guide him. The whole zone seems deserted and silent with no bird song. Even the waterfalls seem quieter, and strangest of all, the background music has stopped completely. Sonic turns around and looks out of the pages of the book straight at you. "Hey pal," he says, "it's good to see you. You're supposed to be the one with all the bright ideas around here. What do you think I should do?" If you think Sonic should search the torn up area for a clue about where his friends might be, turn to section 66. If you think he should find some of Dr. Robotnik's old devices and try to use those to help him, turn to section 119. But if you think he should stop rushing around and spend a little while thinking about the problem, turn to 173. And if you decide to just wait around for a moment and think about what's going on, you'll hit your first roll. And the way these work is that you'll be asked to do a check against one of your skills, which you do by rolling a dice, then adding the result to the skill required. And if it equals or better, then you win, and you should follow the instructions. In this instance, there really isn't any stakes in winning or losing, and you end up having the exact same set of choices either way, but you will have Sonic talking to you in one of them. Sonic turns and stares out of the book straight at you. He doesn't look pleased. "Look pal," he says, "I know you're trying to help, but you should know I'm not the sitting around and thinking type. I'm the rushing about, trusting to luck and natural good looks type. Life is more exciting like that. I do the exciting, heroic stuff. You do the thinking, okay? Now, let's get to some action." The other options will branch the story, and if we decide to check out the zone, we will find our first ring, and remember to add that to our stat sheet. From there we can follow some footprints, and we finally get the option to have our first fight, which is to save Tails. and there are 2 badniks we need to beat, and you'll have to beat them one at a time. For this, you'll need to roll a dice and add it to your speed stat, and if it's greater than the bot's rating of 5, then you win. Or else they'll get a chance to attack you, which you'll have to roll a dice and add it to their rating. And if it's greater than 10, then they'll get a hit on you. If you happen to have rings, you'll lose them, but you'll then get another chance to attack. Else you'll lose a life and have to follow the instructions on the page. Thankfully these 2 are no match and we can talk to Tails and get him to join us. And in this book he is really quite useful, as he acts as a +3 to any attack roll. From here, the story continues with us going into the new city that Dr. Ivar Robotnik has created. And yep, this is back in the days when he was still called Dr. Robotnik. And unsurprisingly, he's made many badniks that we'll have to face. Typically, there'll be a number of choices on how we deal with them, as some of them are quite tough battles, with large and imposing robots. Sonic jumps to the top of the machine and then from there to the building, and then onto a taller building until he's high above the big robot and hopefully out of its range. It's very big, very golden, and very nasty. Guns spout from every part of its body, and they are constantly swiveling and turning to aim at new objects. Anything that moves is a target, and may be blown apart. On top of the robot, Sonic can just about see a program cartridge reading Egg's Juggernaut. He can leap down to attack, turn to 180, he can go back and talk to Boombox 225, or he can throw something to distract it, 259. Your animal friends are scattered all around the city, so finding them should be one of your goals, but they might not always be happy with your approach, like poor Flicky who's trapped in a cage hanging from a crane, and one of the options is just to spin attack it. Sonic starts his run up, hits top speed at exactly the right moment and hits the crane's main support with a thunderous crash. It shakes and gives way under the weight of the crane. Sonic dodges back as the huge structure tips and topples, falling faster and faster, until it hits the ground with a crash that shakes the city, smashes 3 buildings and squashes 16 robots. Flicky's round cage hits the ground, breaks its chain and then rebounds into the air. It bounces twice before the tough bars crack and a bruised and battered Flicky flutters weakly out. "Some friend you are," he exclaims. "Next time you try one of your heroic rescues, think for a second first. Some of us only have 1 life, you know." And with that, he flicks his wings, flies up, over the city wall and back to Green Hill Zone. It looks like Sonic really blew that one. Turn to 103. There are also lots of items to pick up and use. The hideout is lined with things that Boombox has found, and tells the 2 adventurous animals to take anything they can use. They can choose from a cartridge with Peridactyl written on it, 6 rings, some candy bars, only a little bit chewed, says Boombox, a power-up shield, it lets Sonic or Tails ignore 1 hit from an enemy, some armour made from robot parts, enemies have to roll above 12 to hit Sonic, a comb, boosts Sonic's cool and good look ratings by 1 point each, or a computer with a blank screen. I don't know what's in that, says Boombox. If Sonic chooses the cartridge or the blank screen, turn to 295. Or not, Sonic can ask Boombox some questions. Amazingly, the Game Gear and the carts are quite important, as you'll find them as you go through the story, as you destroy various bots, or just lying around, and all have some terrible egg pun in the name. So you know this is the work of Dr. Robotnik, aka Eggman. And if you plug them into your Game Gear, you actually find out what their programming is. Some of the routes through the book are only possible if you happen to have the right item or you've talked to the right friend. Like getting up to the Zap Cannon, as if you found Sally, you can just climb up. Or, if you've got the Peridactyl cart, you can change a bot to make it fly. So you really can take multiple different routes through the story each time. The end goal is to take down Robotnik in his Eggomatic, and you'll get multiple chances to hit him all through the book. But you will end up on the massive robot and have to work out the best way to beat it before it stomps Green Hill Zone. And to be completely honest, this is far better written than you might expect. The sky is filling with dark clouds, and the rain is growing heavier and heavier. Lightning shoots across the sky, lancing towards the earth to hit Robotnik's equipment, which is flickering and glowing. The mad genius himself is climbing into his Egomatic, laughing like an idiot. Something else is happening. Some of the machines are starting to move, and even parts of the building are shifting and grinding together. It could be the force of the storm, but Sonic doubts it. This must be Robotnik's master plan coming into action, and there's only one person who can stop it. Sonic is faced with one of the most difficult choices he ever has to make. This isn't my original copy of the book that I bought back in the day, so when I found this second-hand copy I had to grab it, even if it has seen better days. Unfortunately, with the fact that you have to keep jumping around all the various pages as you play the game, these books do get abused far more than a regular book, so they might not always be in the best condition. This really is a great adventure book, and if you happen to find it second-hand, you really should grab it, because it is the best in the series. And until next time, I was the Goldfish, that was Reading in the Fast Lane, and this was Goldfish on Games. Thank you for watching my video on a book. I do hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please turn to section 12 to subscribe, section 13 to share, or to section 63 to like, or turn to section 269 to check out either of the other two videos you can see on the screen.